Hello, everybody. Welcome to the United Stand. Welcome to your press conference looking ahead towards Brighton this weekend. Tough game. We discussed it last night, depending what Brighton team turns up. But Ralph's been in his presser. He's been talking about the game ahead. There's plenty more little, subplots from that press conference that we're going to get into as well. Obviously, guys, get your comments in the comment section on all subjects. I can see the hot topic already bubbling up in there in the comment section. So we're going to go right into it. And that is obviously the biggest fear of all for United fans right now. I think we discussed it last night on the show about not changing a winning team. Is Ralf Rangnick going to be forced into bringing El Capitano, El Slabhead, back into the team? Because he was asked, obviously, about injury news, first of all, before the game against Brighton tomorrow. And he's just gone into it. And obviously, the biggest two names, obviously the two English lads in Harry Maguire and Marcus Rashford. We'll touch on Rashford shortly. But first of all, what he was saying about Harry Maguire, he said that he is back in full training. He's been training for a few days now, in fact. And he is just going to see. He don't want to give the team away, in his words. It was just Rangnick just being coy, really, I think, in everything there. He just said, look, we will assess Harry Maguire before the game, obviously, that being today, obviously, later on today, because I'm assuming we're heading down to Brighton early enough, like myself, to get there in plenty of time. So we're going to find out probably later. I mean, there's the sort of embargoed later part of the press conference, which hasn't been released and whatnot yet. We'll find out more information on that. But honestly, we discussed it last night. Does Harry Maguire even get anywhere near the team if he's fit again? And let's be honest, nah, not for me. Not a cat and hell's chance. And it looks like everyone in the comments is pretty much on side with that. Why would we? I mean, when was the last clean sheet we had before the Brentford game? I was thinking back the other day. I know sometimes you can actually think back and go, oh, yeah, it was that game. I can't actually remember it. And someone in the comments will bring it up now. So a game where you've got players in form, like Brentford players are in form, a clean sheet, then you're looking at it and you're going, well, why change that? Why change a team that's won 3-0 in the most comfortable victory we've had all season? And let's be honest, Maguire wasn't part of that. Why bring him back in? You can see Ralph is just answering questions of like the standard questions that you get asked by journalists in press conferences. The injury news does come up first all the time, but I guarantee you right now, the way he was talking, because he did touch on we'll talk about how he's seen that game in more detail in a minute as well. But I want to get into the players and get your thoughts on these players and do they deserve to come right back into the team? Because everyone I've spoke to at Old Trafford, and I don't get a chance to speak to everyone, is no, keep these players away. We're winning games. Why would these players come back in? It's the age-old saying, isn't it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And to be so comfortable against a decent team in Brentford, why would you change it up? Why? I mean, he's talking there about question marks on Eric Bailly. I think Eric Bailly just is never going to get into this Manchester United team, so we can forget about him. It is literally what we're looking at. Lindelof, Maguire, Varane, the only centre-backs that are going to get any game time under Ralf Rangnick, or ever look like getting game time under Ralf Rangnick. The best two have been Lindelof and Varane in each game. No surprise in the fact that in the corresponding fixture, which I picked up on, the fact that the defending from Lindelof and Varane in the Brentford game back down earlier on in the year at Brentford, Maguire wasn't part of that team. And obviously, we won that game 3-1 as well, simply because, the second half performance was great, but that defence and De Gea as well, in large parts, to give him credit, kept us in that game. No coincidence, same fixture, but at Old Trafford, similar defence, and in fact, same defence, because it was the same back four in that game. We get another win, and another comfortable win in the end. Yeah, obviously, it was a bit different early doors there, but why would Maguire get a say? He shouldn't even have a say, but he shouldn't even be considered, in my opinion, to start the game. If there's a spot on the bench, you can go sit there as cover just in case. But to be honest, I'd rather put Eric Bailly on the bench than Harry Maguire. I really would. I don't think he belongs in this team right now and doesn't warrant being in that team. And I think Ralf Rangnick will look at it that way. With 2 games to go, is he going to be that concerned about upsetting anyone? No, he's not. Marcus Rashford, bronchitis, high temperature, he says, won't be playing. I don't think anyone's going to be bothered about that because he's probably our worst forward at the moment. So we're not going to have any issues there as a fan base in terms of that breaking news, in terms of Rashford being out. But Harry Maguire, I can see it in all the comments there. Maguire off to Burnley. Harry would struggle to get in at Doncaster Rovers. It pretty much says all you need to know about Harry Maguire. Super chat there from Daniel about Angry Ralph. I take it you watched the press conference. He's sort of getting to that stage in his tenure at Manchester United now where he's getting to the end where he really doesn't give a toss, basically. I mean, I think it was Gary Neville who was saying it. He said he looks like a man on the edge now. He's looking like he's getting closer and closer to actually outing certain players and actually coming out in press conferences and saying who it is, who the problems are. I mean, I said it on last night's show. I said, look at that starting lineup against Brentford. Not one English player in that starting lineup. And it was our best performance of the season. Now, I'm not saying that all our British or English players, whatever you want to say it, are the issues or our problems behind the scenes, but the ones that are being leaked out and the ones that we know are visibly, and we'll touch on them as well in a minute, are visibly the problems that we can see. You've got to put two and two together and say, yeah, they are an issue. And no coincidence, like I said, best performance of the season. Yeah, you could say it was an end of the season game. Neither team really had much to play for. Probably us just about, but Brentford was safe. No real pressure on them. Lackadaisical. No, I just thought we controlled the game better. That's all. And ultimately, that's what got us the result. So, yeah, talking about them players, he actually has gone in on Jesse. Well, he's not gone in as such on Jesse Lingard. He has been asked the question on Jesse Lingard because he's obviously hot topic at the moment, and everything that his brother came out with on social media, the journalists are going to actually pick up on that, and he has gone into it. He just said, in the last couple of weeks, under my tenure, he has played far more games than he used to. So RANGNICK's sort of like, I think he's like shouting back in terms of what the journalists are saying, in terms of what Jesse Lingard's brother said on social media. He's had more game time under Ralph Rangnick than he did under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was lauded as a legend and had a full-on banner, farewell banner, put up in the Stretford End for him. So Rangnick using numbers to back himself up here. He doesn't really need to back himself up. He's the manager. You shouldn't really have to ask this question, but you can see he's probably known that this question was coming. He's known because he touched on the social media influence as well and how he's unhappy with that if players are involved in social media, as in the players themselves making the posts and whatnot. But this was Lingard's brother. And I can tell just from Rangnick and his tone and what he was saying exactly what he meant by this. He sort of did his homework. He knew exactly what he was going to reply to this question with. And he hit back with it. He says he's played more games, number two, on game day against Chelsea. He asked me to release him from the game and training the following day for personal family reasons. I mean, what more do you want? If your player is not going to be available for you, what do you have to do? And what should you have to do in that final game that his brother is actually complaining about? So many years at the football club, been there since he was 9 years old. All this garbage. Ralph Rangnick doesn't have to do anything in terms of Jesse Lingard and giving him a farewell. He just needs to say, look, like, you weren't available for Chelsea. You took yourself out of it. And now when easier games come around, your family's kicking off and moaning that you've not been given a farewell like other players have. Well, let's be honest. Let's look at the professionalism of the other players who got a farewell in that Brentford game. Matic, yeah? Look at the professionalism of him. Look at the professionalism of Juan Mata. Never kicked up a stink once. Always there for interviews. Always there to actually celebrate with other players. Get behind the team. Be there on match days constantly on the bench and not get on the pitch but not kick up a stink or anything like that. All too willing to get behind the young lads and be a positive influence in training. We've seen it on their so-called posts. I know we've all kicked off and said, look, winning team and all this blah. I don't really give a toss about that. But you've got to say, in terms of the likes of Matic, Mata, players like that, I mean, Cavani's a different kettle of fish for me completely. I think he's just really not been interested in United at all this season. He's just where he's been available and his injuries. He's just looking after himself at that age. He's been there, done it, and won everything pretty much. So he's a different sort of subject. But Jesse Lingard, for kicking up a stink. I mean, come on, seriously. There's nothing for me that Ralph has to do there with Jesse Lingard at all. I can see it in everyone's comments in the live section as well, that it's going down that way with the fan base and the whole fan base. There's not one fan at Manchester United that I know of that has any concern with Jesse Lingard leaving, let alone giving him a farewell. I mean, there was probably hardly anyone there to give him a farewell anyway, but he doesn't want a place in the team. You're not playing. You made yourself unavailable for 2 other occasions that I can think of the top of my head under Ralph Rangnick's tenure. So if you're not going to be available, then what is the point in this manager actually giving you a chance in the last home game of the season? Or just because it might be your last game of the season, you think you actually deserve to be in the team because you've been here so many years, earning so much pounds a week? Shut up. Actually show some professionalism through what's happened. Yeah, you might not have got that move, but let's be honest, in Ralph Rangnick's defence and how he's come out with this in the press conference today and defended himself, Ralph Rangnick did say he has spoke with Jesse Lingard and had given him permission to leave the football club. It's not Ralph Rangnick's fault that this football club went behind his back and made the statement about Jesse Lingard being an integral part of this team and is why he's not leaving in January. They're not picking the team. It's got nothing to do with Ralph Rangnick. And Ralph Rangnick is the one that selects the team on the last day of the season as well, by the way. So, do you know what I mean? We know that this post from Jesse Lingard's brother is aimed at Ralph Rangnick because he's the one who didn't put him on the pitch. So, yeah, wind your neck in, Lingard's brother. It's as simple as that. Get on with it. He had his chance. He didn't want to take it. And that's it. It's going to be exactly the same when Ten Hag comes in. And to be honest, Lingard won't stand a chance. If this is anything to go by in terms of how he's actually being, how he's conducting himself around the club, can you imagine when Ten Hag comes in? And we know what Ten Hag is like, what everyone said, all the people in the know and everyone who knows him and how he works, that you get one chance. If you're not willing to put the effort in and show what you've got in terms of training and actually being available and doing everything that Ten Hag wants you to do, then nah, he wouldn't have lasted 2 minutes, Jesse Lingard, under Ten Hag, in my opinion. And you know what? That's it. I'm not going to lose any sleep over Jesse Lingard leaving. Great memories, some great, brilliant memories, especially at Wembley. Thanks, Jesse. But nah, sorry, mate. It's your own fault that you didn't get your farewell because you didn't want to put the effort in previous weeks. And Ralph Rangnick is 100% right not to even bring you on the pitch. I'm so glad that Garnacho came on and you didn't come on. And Cavani came on and you didn't come on. Do you know what I mean? These players aren't kicking up a stink on social media like you are. So, yeah, for me, nah, could not care less. And if Ralph Rangnick was a bit spicy or spiky in that press conference, then, well, there's your reason why. Because he has gone in on the social media facts as well, actually stating, look, to be honest, when asked about social media, and this is obviously about Jesse Lingard's brother's post as well, so the journalists were all over it, he's been ready for it again. It's like I said, to be honest, I'm not reading a lot. I've not had the time in the last 6 months to read. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not engaged in those areas. My focus has been on developing the team. In those days in social media, there are always somebody posting something, and it's important not to take much notice of that unless it is the player himself. Then it might be a different story. So clearly going in on Jesse Lingard's brother. But I mean, we know, don't we? We know exactly where Ralph's coming from there. I think we'd all said exactly the same thing. Pay no notice whatsoever of what anyone says on social media. Definitely, and this goes in Harry Maguire's case as well, anything that a family member or close friend of that player posts up on social media. And Rangnick is right in what he said. He's been very clear about it there in the press conference in his answer, and he's just said it as it is. It's not important to him. His focus is solely on the team. Forget about anything else, and you're off in the summer. And that is basically it. He actually goes into the players' performance and actually says, look, the players were actually enjoying themselves. It goes to show, doesn't it? Without certain players in this team or in the mix, all of a sudden we got a performance like we did. He says, I think it was visible against Brentford. This was not only my subjective opinion. You could see they enjoyed themselves on the pitch. That's it. Everything wasn't perfect, but in possession, we controlled the game. In regards to the next season, there will be some changes with quite a few players' contracts expiring. Code for a lot of players just being kicked out the door, because we're going to get into it in a minute. He has talked about Ten Hag as well. A few players' contracts expiring, new players who join us here, and players with long-term contracts already at the club. Something that needs to be discussed with the board. Eric needs to say which players he wants to work with, and that is a positive, because if Eric Ten Hag does get the players that he wants to work with, and he gets the control, we've all said it many a times on this show, look, then that is the big positive, and Ralph is part of that. He has also said in this that, you know what, I've spoken to Eric Ten Hag. We have earmarked a time when we are going to speak. So he's actually confirming that at the end of the season, once, and he did say we're both fully concentrated on the end of our own seasons. I'll have 2 games left for Ralph with United and 3 games left for Ajax, because Ten Hag is fully concentrating on grabbing that Eredivisie title with Ajax, of course, and that comes, that's priority. But looking at it, he has actually said, look, there is a time that we've agreed to when we are going to sit down and going to talk. I was just like, oh, God, yes. Let it rip, Ralph. Wreck it, Ralph, and let Ten Hag know exactly what is going on at this football club. Because in his answers within this press conference, you can see it all connecting together. He's gone in on the social media side and Jesse Lingard being a problem. He said the positive thing would be for Ten Hag to then have the players he wants to work with. And then he's also said that there is a time earmarked where him and Ten Hag will sit down and talk and discuss what they both want moving forward, which is even more music to our ears, because that means that he is fully invested in what he has always done, in rebuilding football clubs. And that's what he is. Some people will say he's not been great for the team. I disagree in the fact that in the long-term picture, Ralf Rangnick has done more work in 6 months than any manager has since Sir Alex Ferguson left. He's dissecting a problem behind the scenes while trying to keep us relevant within the league and everything that's gone on in that time. So Rangnick actually being fully invested in this Ten Hag project should be music to all Manchester United fans' ears, because that means that there's 2 people with the same goal. One upstairs, advisory, yes, but Ten Hag, if he has been given these powers and he has been given permission to, like we've all been told in the press, information and control as a little bit of control in terms of who and who he can't bring in. He wants to know about every player that's coming in the club and giving his opinion on it. Then if you've got someone upstairs who's seen all of that, a la Ralf Rangnick this season, he's got all these players coming back. Obviously, Ten Hag already knows about. He already knows about the likes of Donny van der Beek, but you've got the likes of Martial coming back straight away. If you're Ralf Rangnick, you're saying to Ten Hag, look, he's made himself unavailable for this game. He has done this, he's done that. To be honest, it's up to you. But going off my experience, this is what happened. I don't think Jesse Lingard's going to even be anywhere near the club before the time Ten Hag gets in. And then he's going to give his opinion on Marcus Rashford as well. I mean, what we spoke about yesterday in terms of Marcus Rashford is like, look, he wants reassurances on his game time. He's happy to stay at Manchester United. And I know, Manchester lad, and come through the academy. But we got to move past that now. If you're causing a problem or you think you're already bigger than what you are, then Ralf Rangnick's going to out you on this. He's got no allegiance to Manchester United. All he's got is his reputation right now of actually rebuilding clubs. He's been brought into Manchester United because of what he's done in the past in Germany. And why would he have any allegiance to a youth team Manchester United player? It's the best thing that's ever happened to this football club is Ralf Rangnick coming in for the long-term sort of success, because You could have had an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, ex-player, sort of come in. Oh, the youth academy is everything. And you know what? It is a massive part of this football club and the heritage of it. But let's be fair, a lot of our academy players have been a real problem at this football club recently. I mean, you can talk about Jesse Lingard and Marcus Rashford the way they are at the moment. I mean, Mason Greenwood, another one. I mean, what McTominay said in the past in interviews and how he thinks he's already bigger than what he is. And I know Ralph Rangnick likes him and his sort of leadership mentality that he says he's got. But you know what? Ralph Rangnick has got the look and the scope on all of this. So he's just going to fill that out. He's going to just let Ten Hag know everything he needs to know and what his opinion is on every single player. And then we work from there. The bonus is a lot of them players are the ones running out of contracts that are the problem. So it is the perfect opportunity. And United can just say, no, c'est la vie, bye-bye, not needed. And that problem is out of the dressing room. I can fully see. I mean, guys, get your comments in as well. Let me know which players you actually think are out the door. It's like James Bell says here, do you still think Henderson is better than De Gea? That Henderson has better qualities than De Gea, yes. He's not a better shot stopper than David De Gea. But in that top 6 teams in the league, De Gea is the worst with the ball at his feet. I'll stand by that. He can't play sweeper-keeper. And this is something that Ten Hag is going to have to take into consideration. If you want the system to play, then you're going to have the balls to actually change up players that the fan base may even like. And let's be honest, we've all held our hands up this season and said this has been an absolutely brilliant season for David De Gea. But if Ten Hag comes in and he says, I don't want De Gea in my goal, then you've got to back him. It's pointless being one of them fans that actually says, look, oh, no, I'm not liking this manager straight away because he's taking my favourite player out. If he doesn't want Bruno in the team, I couldn't give a toss. Is a reason why he took him out. It doesn't work for him. We will see. I do believe out of all the years, and when David De Gea first came into this football club, he was decent on the ball, I thought. His sort of distribution was very, very good, but that has gone down a notch. And there's no one, I don't think, in this league better at shot stopping than David De Gea. But there's a system that's coming in now that we've never seen before. And that is what's key. That's what's important. And the fan base has to get behind every decision. If you've got a favourite player or there are favourite players out there in this team at the moment, then you have to put that aside and get behind the manager. That's it. Will he want Ronaldo in the team? I can't see him not wanting Ronaldo, to be honest. The form that he's in and the way he's conducted himself over these last few months has been exceptional and exemplary to a different level altogether, considering what he's working with. And I've had my concerns about Ronaldo this season. It's well documented. But when a player comes out and performs the way he has done, then you have to hold your hands up. And it was the same with De Gea this season, James. And honestly, I wouldn't say Henderson is the answer, definitely. My issue in the summer was we need to pick one and sell one. We haven't. And that's down on Solskjaer mainly and wanting this massive, massive squad. He brought in Tom Heaton when he didn't need to. If you bring in Tom Heaton, then one of the other goalkeepers has to go. He convinced Jesse Lingard and Donny van der Beek that they were going to get game time. He didn't give it him. And obviously, the frustrations of Lingard have now been put onto Ralph Rangnick, and that's why you got the reaction you got from Rangnick today in the press conference when them questions on Lingard were asked. He prepared himself. He sort of knew what was coming. He was probably already clued up and told what was coming, I'm guessing. But he answered it in the perfect way. He just told him straight. And that's been the breath of fresh air that Ralph Rangnick has bought and brought into this club for me. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys think in terms of David De Gea. Obviously, we're all in agreement that this has been an outstanding season for David De Gea. But I said it the other day. I said it to someone. I said, David De Gea's best seasons have come when United have been crap. And obviously, he got a lot more saves to make. Should we really be looking at the qualities of David De Gea in these seasons? Because the 2 seasons under Ole, when we finished 2nd and 3rd, has been the worst that David De Gea has been at this football club. That's when we were up there comfortably. you would say half decent seasons for Manchester United. But there were the seasons when everyone was questioning him, like myself, because when he's not got a lot to do, he's not as sharp. But when he's saving shot after shot after shot and he's on the ball, then he looks absolutely fantastic, and he has been fantastic. So you can't take that away from him. But what I'm saying is there are players in this team that people may like, that think are brilliant. But if Ten Hag comes in and Ralph Rangnick says, in terms of how you want to play, because this discussion that Ten Hag and Ralph Rangnick are going to have, that Ralph has touched on in the press conference, are going to be, look, what you're going to play, what system are you going to play? And you've got to look at it and go, okay, I've seen traits of this player that will work with that, no problem. Harry Maguire is a big thing for Ten Hag's system, by the way. I know Ralph's obviously bigging him up because he has to and whatnot, but it's very interesting what Ten Hag is going to do. If he wants to play a high line, then Harry Maguire can't play, or he changed the goalkeeper, in my opinion. Because from what I've seen, and we're just fans in the stand, David De Gea cannot play sweeper goalkeeper. And there's a reason why Jurgen Klopp, Pep Guardiola invested so much in new goalkeepers. Chelsea made the mistake and they rectified it by bringing in another goalkeeper. It is a pivotal part. You have to be able to play that system. Look at all the best teams, the ones that are competing right at the top now in the last four of the Champions League. Oh, forget the Villarreal goalkeeper. That was probably a bad example because he had literally the worst game of his life. Yeah, but look at that. It's like that. Ederson literally cost City versus Villarreal. So you want to pick out on one game. Let's look at the fact that they're actually on course to win the title. How many times they've been in the running. Let's look at the long jeopardy of that goalkeeper and try and tell me that that City haven't prospered since he's been in. Fair enough, you're going to have them games, but these managers trust these players and they sacrifice that one position because they know overall in a season that that's going to work and work better for them. City were home and hosed, and then a mistake came. That's what it is. That happens. But they're in the semi-final. They were in the final last year. They were in the title race last year, won it, and looked like they could win it again. I'd take that right now, wouldn't you? A mistake in the semi-final? Oof, that's hard to take. Yeah, let's just stick to being sixth in the league and getting nowhere near the top four then, because that's where we've been consistently. So maybe it's time that we took a leaf out of their books and actually followed that blueprint and went, you know what? Maybe we do need to rip it up. Can't all be done in a summer. I know that. But what Ralph Rangnick was talking about today for me was pretty much that. The positive thing would be giving Ten Hag the reins and letting him do what he needs to do with this team, because that's what you're going to need. That is what you are going to need. I think he's probably going to enjoy his last couple of games. I just hope that he does play the same team against Brighton tomorrow. It would be making a statement, I think. It would actually be saying something to Ten Hag before he even comes in and even speaks to him. Look, these are players on this pitch right now that you can use. These are players on this pitch right now that are going to work for you. Obviously, 4 or 5 of them aren't going to be here next year, but use that. Do you know what I mean? If you're looking for workers as a basis and are not going to cause any issues behind the scene, which has fundamentally been our biggest problem this season, then there are a group of players there that you can start with. Yet there may be a few out injured at the moment that may be able to contribute to that as well. I mean, Luke Shaw's going to have a say in all of this, I'm sure of it. Obviously, you've got, Eric Bailly's gone, we know that. You've got the fullback situation. You've got a lot of positions. Fred and McTominay will run through brick walls for you. Right? The quality of what Ten Hag needs. Does Bruno move into an 8 under Ten Hag? Does Donny van de Beek come back in? Do you bring an Eriksen in, who obviously we know Ten Hag will know well as well from the Ajax days of early yesteryear? So you've got plenty of options there, but he does need a base to work from. And I think this is what Ralph Rangnick was getting at in this press conference today. It is that, you know what, there's like a showcase opportunity for a lot of these United players right now. Are they going to take it? I think he's finally just stumbled upon a team that works for the 4-treble-2. But he should be able to be interchanging with that. And I do believe that Ten Hag is not going to play that system. But you got to look at it and you got to say, look, there's players there that are very adaptable in different systems, and they should be his core. They should be his core. The likes of Jesse Lingard and Marcus Rashford, big decisions this summer, especially for Rashford. Lingard is gone. We know that. Pogba posting videos today, dancing around with his straps on in the training centre. There are certain things, and you know what? I wouldn't have even thought. I would be thinking that Ralf Rangnick's actually seen that post as well. A player that he probably could have used in the position that we've really been short on, and he's posting a video dancing around in the United training kit with bands on, doing his workout to whatever tune. I don't know. I didn't listen to it. I just seen the images and turned it off, to be honest. Don't really concern me. He's not going to play this season, so why post that in a United shirt? It's not what we need to see. And there you go. What Ralf Rangnick said in the press conference today, it may not have anything to do with it whatsoever at all, but look at it. He's just said it there. When it's the player himself posting it out, and let's be honest, Paul Pogba was dancing in front of a camera, and it's on his account on Instagram. So it is him, isn't it, basically? Is he having a go at him? He's jabbing at everyone, really. And look what he said there, putting it all together to round it up, the press conference today. Social media is not for him. Ten Hag is going to come in and be exactly the same, if not even more stringent and strict on the social media side of things. You're going to have to work. Dancing around with your bands on, nah, that's not going to cut it. There's plenty of players leaving. And like Ralph said, players leaving that are out of contract this summer. You break all that down and put that jigsaw piece together of a press conference, and that is what I think you could summarise it in. Ralf Rangnick is talking to Ten Hag about the players that should leave, the players that will play for him, whether or not they're the right quality to move forward. But he's got a lot of work to do, and he's going to need a base to start from. So for me, there you go. Says everything you need to know. And like I said before, not one English player in that starting lineup that produced the best performance of the season for us. Take from that what you want. But they're the facts from today's press conference, everybody. Cheers for tuning in. If you did want to hit me up, that is my tag there below on Instagram. DM is always open there for people, as everyone already knows. You want to get across, get your messages in. If you're going Brighton, you want to hook up and actually come and say a few words on United Stand as well. Come and see me there outside the away section. I will be there as well tomorrow. Long journey ahead. So, yeah, road trips and fan vlogs are coming aplenty tomorrow. And obviously all the guys will be back on the fan forum. And obviously Mark back on the watch-alongs as well. So let me know. Let me know what you think. It's going to be one hell of a busy weekend with loads going on. But for now, everybody, that is it. That is your press conference. Let me know what you think. Like, share, and subscribe. Cheers for everybody tuning in, super chats, and all your comments. It's been a ball. I will see you tomorrow for the road trip, and then later on, obviously, for the fan vlogs. See you later.